Are you thinking about making a move in 2026 in Spring Hill or Brooksville, Florida, but you're not sure if it's the right time or not? Well, you're certainly not on your own. So I wanted to make this video today to break down where I see the real estate market going in 2026 in Spring Hill and Brooksville, Florida, as a 20-year real estate expert in the area. Now, as you know, if you've seen any of my videos in the last couple of years, I've been pretty good with my assessments of where the real estate market's going. I spend hours and hours every single week studying it, and my background is in accounting. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you guys and tell you some fluff that you guys want to hear. I'm going to give you the real truth as I see it over the next 12 months so you can make the best decision for yourself. So we're going to take a look at things like home prices, interest rates, the inventory, what are the builders going to be doing, and how that all plays into what the market's going to look like in 2026. So stay tuned. You're not going to want to miss this one. Now, certainly 2024 and 2025 have kicked the Florida real estate market a little bit in the butt. What we saw was a huge decrease in the amount of buyer demand, and the buyer demand that was there was funneled pretty heavily into new builds as builders offered crazy incentives and got really competitive on pricing to make resales a really tough sell to home buyers in the Florida market. So where's 2026 going to go? I'm going to break it down for you right now. And we're first of all going to start off by talking about home prices, which is probably the most important thing on everybody's mind that they want to know about. So first of all, let's talk about the Tampa Bay area in general. Realtor.com says that Tampa Bay is going to see a 3.6% drop in prices in 2026 in their opinion. And this is on top of prices already declining in Spring Hill and Brooksville over the last 18 months, 24 months, as you can see in the graphic that I have here. So over the last 12 months, the data on home prices, as I've seen it in the Hernando County MLS, shows that home prices are down about 3 or 3.5%. And that certainly tells part of the story, but it doesn't tell you how hard it is to sell resale homes at the moment. So declining prices in 2025 are likely to roll into 2026 as well. Now, while you might see some articles out there talking about Florida experiencing a moderate, mild home price appreciation, that's focusing on areas primarily such as Miami and other hot markets. It's not talking about Tampa Bay, or at least most areas of Tampa Bay. So Spring Hill, Brooksville, I expect to see a price decrease of around about 2 or 3% again in 2026 before things start to stabilize towards the end of the year and hopefully go on that uptick rolling into 2027, which I think is going to be a considerably better year for real estate. Now, the prices are already down about 8 or 9% from the highs that we saw in June, July of 2022. So we're very much into the bottom part of that, I think, downward bell curve for pricing in the area. Now, there's a number of factors that have caused home prices to drop in Spring Hill, Brooksville, not least the interest rates, which we'll talk about in a minute, which has really stunted affordability in general. And of course, the influx of a lot of new builds, which again, we will talk about later in this video. So overall, it's no surprise that the home prices have started to drop off because the people that need to buy homes in Spring Hill, Brooksville, for the most part, are struggling with affordability. Add into that increased insurance rates, particularly on the back of the hurricanes at the end of 2024 with Helene and Milton. And you can see that the perfect storm, no pun intended, was really set for those home price decreases. Now, of course, we don't have a crystal ball, but in my opinion, interest rates would need to get to about 5.25 to really stimulate the amount of activity in the real estate market locally that would be required to see those home prices go on the upward trajectory. And it doesn't look like we're going to get there in 2026. So I think the best case scenario is we stay flat. I think the more likely scenario is Spring Hill, Brooksville will see a price decline of around 2-3% in 2026. Now, moving on from there, let's talk about the interest rates, because when you talk about real estate, that's normally either the most important or the second most important thing that people are talking about when making their decision. Now, I was one of those lucky fools who bought their home in 2020 when the interest rate was 2.75%, and I'm locked into a whole bunch of equity in my house, but with no real way to realize it because I'm certainly not going to get out of my 2.75% interest rate, make a lateral move and pay twice the amount on the mortgage. And that's really the story that we've seen play out in the real estate market. This is what's referred to as the golden handcuffs, if you've heard that phrase. So interest rates went from about 2.5% to almost 8% at their peak a year or so ago. And We're settled today in December of 2025 around about 6.25% for the average 30-year rate in the US. Now, while historically this might not be a high interest rate, it certainly has given sticker shock to a lot of the buyers out there, and rarely has it been coupled with such high price increases in general. So the Tampa Bay area went up about 50 to 59% during the pandemic years in home price appreciation. So even if the interest rate stayed at 2.75, there could potentially be affordability issues, but coupling that with the interest rates going from 2.5, 2.75 to up over 6%, along with those price increases and even the moderate price decreases, has not done much to increase affordability over the last year or two. So what we have is a market where people are almost hoping, if they're buying, for a market crash and a huge drop in the interest rate. But I got bad news for you. Most all of the predictions and indicators that I'm seeing, including from National Association of Realtors and from Fannie Mae, are indicating that over the next 12 months or so, the interest rate's gonna settle somewhere around 5.9 or 6%. So only about a quarter of a point lower than where we are today. So if you're waiting for the interest rates to come down, it may be that that's already happened and they're not going to come down a whole bunch more. Now, what I will say on that is there's a couple of caveats to that. So the first one is if you're getting a 15-year loan, then the interest rate is going to be lower than that. The second thing is we are seeing a lot of buyers have great success in getting closing cost concessions from the sellers and using that to buy down their interest rate. And then the third thing finally is the builders, who are really going out their way to make these interest rates a huge selling point to go with new. So for example, we've had builders buy down the interest rates permanently as low as 4.99%. And I even saw a builder with as low as 0.99% for the first year on the loan. I'll talk about that a little bit more in a moment. So with all of that being said, 2026 might be a good time to buy if you're looking for low-ish rates. And then of course, if they do get much lower, 1.5 points, 2 points lower over the next 3, 4, 5 years, it's a perfect time to refinance at that time. So depends on your situation as to whether the interest rate thing is going to get you off the fence or not. If you're really concerned about the low interest rate, look at getting closing cost concessions to buy those down. Or if you really want to get into a low interest rate by today's standards, for the duration of the loan, new build is definitely an option. Talk to us about that. I've got plenty of videos on the channel where I talk about new builds and the incentives that they're offering. So just to give you an insight as to how that looks, I talked about the new build incentives a couple of seconds ago. One of the builders here locally is currently doing a 3-2-1 buy down. What that means is that they are buying down the interest rate in the first, second, and third year of the loan. And in the fourth year, it resets to a set number, which will be for the duration of the remainder. So for example, the first year interest rate on that is 0.99%. The second year, 1.99%. Third year, 2.99%. And then the duration of that loan is at 3.99%. In my opinion, it's going to be a really long time before general interest rates get down as low as 3.99%. So if the interest rate is a primary concern to you, you can see the sort of flexibility and muscle that these builders are exhibiting when it comes to getting buyers to move into their homes. And the buying power that you get from that is considerable. We've had home buyers who were looking at resales, decided to go towards new builds, get pre-qualified with the builder's preferred lender, and they saw their buying power increase by $30,000, $40,000, $60,000 for the same monthly payment as they would have had in a resale. And the cool thing about that is you can get more bang for your buck because the payment stays the same. So if you have a $300,000 resale and a $350,000 new build, and the payment is exactly the same across both, which one would you rather be in, right? So yes, interest rates are high compared to the last 5 or 6 years. They're kind of moderate as to where it's been historically, but you can get low interest rates still if you know how to finagle it and you have a real estate expert on your side who knows how to work with lenders or with home builders. Hi guys, Ross Hardy from the Hardy team at Remax Marketing Specialist. And if you're thinking of making 2026 the year that you buy your new home, please be sure to reach out to us below. You can call, text, email us, or set up a Zoom consult with the link in the comments down below. We love hearing from folks like you on the YouTube channel, and we are local real estate experts here on the ground for the last 20 years. We've helped over 2,000 families do that. There's never a time it's too early to start doing your research. There's no such thing as a stupid question. So we're here when you need us, in the background, or here making videos when you don't. Let's get back to the content. Now, when we're looking at other factors that might determine whether 2026 is a good time to buy or not, it's important to consider homeowners insurance because especially over the last 3 years, Florida has seen a huge hike in homeowners insurance rates. Now, that can be looked at one of two ways. Now, I imagine 2026 is going to see another increase. They seem to go up and never come down. With that being said, is it enough to hold off on buying a home for another 2 or 3 years in the hopes that they might come down? In my opinion, probably not. I would be tempted to get in at the market level now, where the prices are probably somewhere near the bottom. Interest rates are manageable, especially if you can get an interest rate buy down. And the insurance rates are going to move the way the insurance rates move. So if they do come down in the future, your carrier should be able to drop your rates down. But it is important to note that insurance is making up a bigger proportion of your mortgage payment than it has done previously. I think they're probably going to go up another 5, 6, 7% this year, which doesn't sound a lot, I guess, when you're talking about what the average homeowners insurance payment might be. And of course, it's always subject to another hurricane coming through and making those rates pop. But I can't make a video like this and not talk about homeowners insurance rates being on the rise. So there it is. Do what you want with that information. I don't think it's enough to hold people back from buying, but they are certainly increasing. Now, another thing to talk about for Spring Hill, Brooksville market predictions for 2026 is the type of communities and the types of homes that we're going to see. So I've got two things I want to talk about here. First one is 2026 is going to be the year of the Lagoon communities, I think, in Spring Hill and Brooksville. So we already know that Sandal Key is under development. There's videos on the channel about that as well. It's a Metro Lagoon community with those man-made lagoons that you've seen on TikTok probably. This one's going to be about 3.5 acres and it's shaping up to be fantastic. It's the first lagoon community in Hernando County and it's drawing a lot of attention. But did you know there's also going to be a lagoon community in Brooksville? Not downtown Brooksville, but out by State Road 50 and I-75, which is a great location for people that need to commute north to Ocala or south to the Tampa area. Now, no official announcement has been made yet, but again, I've made videos on my social media channels about this, and I know people inside at Metro who have confirmed that it will indeed be coming, and I think 2026 will be the big announcement. So expect there to be a lot of buzz in Spring Hill and Brooksville about lagoon communities. The second thing I will mention is that we are seeing a big rise in the demand for ultra luxury. So I'm thinking about Southern Hills, for example. Again, check the channel out for lots of videos about that. But Perry Homes, Arthur Ruttenberg, $1 million homes in this gorgeous golf course community. And we've seen it rise in popularity as people do that northern migration out of Tampa and some of those expensive areas around there and look to get a little bit more bang for their buck further north. So market predictions for 2026, lagoon communities to continue to get plenty of interest and an increase in the demand for Southern Hills and ultra luxury properties. So while we're talking about new builds, that's my other big prediction for 2026. Now, we already know at the moment that new builds make up a bigger proportion of home sales in the US than they have done for any moment in recent history. And I think 2026, that number is going to increase. Now, why is that? Well, it's because builders have enough profit margins built into their builds where they can be really, really flexible when market conditions change. So for them to drop $10,000, $15,000 off the base price of a model isn't a huge shift, but for a normal seller who needs to maximize every single dollar they can get out of their home sale to use it for their next purchase, it becomes a really emotional decision as well as a financial one. And the builders don't have that problem. For them, it's numbers on a spreadsheet. Also, it gives them much bigger flexibility and clout when it comes to offering incentives, interest rate buydowns, and other things that can entice buyers into the marketplace. So when affordability is strained, these sorts of things become even more important to home buyers. So 2026, in my opinion, another huge year for brand new construction, maybe even more so than 2025. And that's kind of borne out when we're seeing new communities pop up on seemingly every single corner in Spring Hill and Brooksville. And then the final prediction for 2026 for the real estate market in Spring Hill and Brooksville is going to be the inventory. So we already talked about new builds. They're sitting on more inventory than they've sat on in at least 15 years, and I think that's probably going to continue as well. However, the resale market is likely, in my opinion, to see a pretty sharp rise in the inventory as well, because we're already seeing less demand for that sector. We're already seeing more people wanting to trade in their older home for new construction, and we're seeing increased days on market as well. So all of those things tying in together are likely to lead to an increase in the inventory for resales. In my opinion, we might see something around 10% rise in the levels, which again, is not catastrophic. It's slower than what it had been between, say, 2022 and 23, where we saw that large increase in inventory as the market slowed considerably. But it's still worthy of note that there's going to be 10% more competition in the marketplace if you're looking to sell your home in 2026. So price accordingly. Hey guys, hope you're finding this market prediction information useful. If you can, just do a couple of things. Please like the video. Please comment below, let me know what your market predictions are for 2026, and be sure to subscribe to the channel so you can be notified as soon as we release any new videos about Spring Hill, Brooksville, Wesley Chapel, Lutz, Land O'Lakes, and any of the areas north of Tampa. Always appreciate you guys watching. I love hearing your comments. I respond to all of them personally. Let's dive into the last part of the video. All right, guys, and the final market prediction that I'm going to make for 2026 is something just a continuation of what we've been seeing over the last 3 or 4 years, and that is that northern push. So it works in two ways. First of all, we're seeing a lot more people moving up from as far south as Sarasota, but primarily the Tampa area, up into Hernando County. Now, while we're seeing home affordability kind of constrained in Hernando County, the same problem exists further south in Pasco, Pinellas, and Hillsborough. So we're seeing people cash in down there and come up further north into Hernando, and in doing so get more bang for their buck. So that's been a really interesting change to see in the market over the last few years. But I talked about how difficult it is for people living in Hernando to afford to buy in Hernando. So what are they doing? They're pushing north as well. We've done more business in the last 12 months in Citrus County than any other year that I've been doing real estate for the last 20 years. And the affordability up there is something akin to like what Hernando County was just a few years ago before the boom. So I think we're going to see more people moving from the Tampa area further north up into Spring Hill, Brooksville, but people from Spring Hill, Brooksville moving up into Citrus County, one, to combat affordability, and two, because they're getting a little bit fed up with the construction that's going on in Spring Hill and how quickly it's changing. Citrus County is a little bit more like Spring Hill was 15, 20 years ago. So expect to see that northern migration continue. That's my other and final prediction for 2026. So guys, that's all my predictions for the real estate market in 2026 in Spring Hill, Brooksville. Like I said, please comment below, let me know what you think, let me know what your predictions are. Love hearing from folks like you. I don't have a crystal ball, but I do study the market, and I hope that you found this useful. Like I said, if you're looking to make a move, whether buying or selling in the area, please be sure to reach out to us at the phone number, email address, or Zoom link down below. Until next time, can't wait to hear from you guys and see you at the next video. I'm Ross Hardy from the Hardy team. It's time to love where you live.